Welcome to No One to Blame's inaugural show. This show is brought to you by Kayak Pools. Kayak is the hassle-free pool experience that empowers customers to turn their own backyard into a fun and relaxing family destination. Kayak Pools, go check them out. I'm your co-host, Jesse. You can find me on X at do_Neffy. I'm also here with Kevin. Kevin, tell the people about yourself.
I'm Kevin. You can find me on X at Kevin3E2. Originated in the Midwest, came down to Charleston. I've been playing fantasy football for about 21 years, so I've been doing it for a while. A little bit on the gambling side, a lot of prop bets, a lot of win totals, like kind of into that kind of stuff. Known Jesse here for about 8-9 years. Three-sport athlete. Yeah. Little three-sport athlete in high school, basketball, football, baseball, a little bit of background in that. That's about it, man. Jesse, nice. How about you?
Yeah, so I've known Kevin for about, like you said, 8.5 years now. Moved down here to Charleston from Buffalo, New York. Bills Mafia represent, obviously here with Do Network, Buffalo-based podcast. Beautiful thing about No One to Blame is that Kevin, originating from the Midwest, is not a Bills fan. Kevin, tell us a little bit about your fandom here.
I'm a Raiders fan on the football side. Kind of started before I can't really remember how it started. I have a feeling it had a little bit to do with my my young teenage years in Ice Cube and NWA, rocking the Raiders. That was pre the St. Louis Rams coming to St. Louis, being from right outside of St. Louis and GC representing. They became a little bit of a Rams fan just because they were the local team, but Raiders have been my my allegiance lies. So basketball side, I'm a Hornets fan.
For you guys.
Yeah.
We've been there before, man. We've been there before.
Yep. So
much like
2001.
Yeah. Much like Kevin, I was an athlete growing up myself, gambling, fantasy. That's what this show's all about. That's what we're covering. We're covering the lighter side of sports. So our show is leading up to the NFL season. We're going to be covering several different topics. Today's going to be a real fantasy-focused podcast. Next week, we're going to be talking live mock draft with our Do Champions coworker, Pat Bruckness. He's going to join Kevin and I. We're going to do a live mock draft. Next show after that, we're going to be talking about player future markets, NFL awards. We're going to be hitting the AFC win totals, NFC win totals, division winners, conference winners, Super Bowl prediction, all the way up until September 5th when we have week one. Week one, Chiefs, Ravens. We'll be live every Thursday. We'll be live every Monday. Monday show is going to be a recap of last week's market. Thursday show is going to be a preview of the future market. That's how we're going to roll out our show for the football season. Kevin touched on the fact that he is on the basketball side. I grew up playing hockey, so we're all things sports. If you've been following us, following me at all on Twitter, we cashed our play of the day today. Baseball, Yankees, Phillies, over 9. I think they scored like 13 runs. No sweat winner. But we're giving out plays. We're sick of baseball. I can tell you that much. I play fantasy baseball. I am absolutely sick of it right now. But there's action out there.
Yeah, being a Cardinals fan, a little bit, being from obviously right outside of St. Louis, it's not my forte. But do follow the Cardinals a little bit. Not much into the gambling side on the baseball. Not my cup of tea. That's more your thing. So you'll be hammering that all year.
Yeah. Like I said, we'll be college basketball, golf. We're going to touch it all. Like I said, this show is going to be more of a fantasy-based show. So we're going to start with the Bills fantasy outlook. So there's several players for the Buffalo Bills that have fantasy impacts this year. At least we think so. I think we start, obviously, we go by ADP, Kev. I think that's the best way
to do it.
Starts
by QB1.
It starts by QB1, right? Josh Allen, fantasy football, quarterback number 1. He's going in, let's see what you got, pick 38 right now. with when I'm doing my mock drafts, Kev, I'm taking him in the second round sometimes. I think. How are you feeling about Josh Allen this year?
I'm typically not a quarterback early guy. And what I also find, I do a lot of redrafts. That's more my thing. And a lot of them home leagues and redraft, them quarterbacks always go a little earlier than your sharps. You know what I mean? So
couldn't agree more.
Second round, if you and your Bills guys are drafted, somebody's taking him in the second round. It's going to happen.
Absolutely.
I think he will be better this year, simply spreading the ball around. Diggs demanded them targets when he was there. Now he's gone. He's got rookie wide receivers. He's got young wide receivers. He's got new wide receivers. Young tight end. He's going to spread the ball around. Nobody's going to be in his ear chirping at him. He leads that team now. And so I think he'll start and finish QB1. He'll still get some of his rushing TDs, maybe not as many as he has in the past, but he'll still always be a threat in the inside the 10, inside the 5. He's going to still get some of them carries for touchdowns. So
I couldn't agree more. And shocker, we're both probably going to have Josh Allen ranked as our QB1 this year.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts is up there. I know Mahomes. We'll get into those debates about what our quarterback rankings look like. But second player next by ADP right now, Dalton Kincaid. This is a guy who I think is going to just have a massive breakout year. I could see him finishing tight end number 1 in fantasy. I know that sounds crazy because the way we spread the ball around, there's a lot of mouths to feed. But this guy has a connection with Josh Allen already, much like Khalil Shakir. We'll hit on him later, but this guy's bread and butter is his hands, man. He's a route running tight end. He catches the ball. He's going to be a red zone target. I think he gets peppered this year. I think you're going to see him well over 100 targets. I just think he's going to be a focal point with Josh. I think they have a great connection. He's going ADP right now at 52. Kev, how you feeling about the ADP and how you feel about Kincaid?
Same as QBs, them kind of onesie positions. If I don't get a top 2 tight end, I'm typically waiting. So Kincaid might go a little early for my liking, but I would absolutely want him on my team. Last year, if you go off last year's stats, he only had he had no 20-point fantasy games, only had 1 game with double-digit targets. So that's the bottom end of him. Last year, that's the floor. His upside is huge.
Yeah, I agree.
He will be the number 1 target getter for Josh Allen. He'll lead that team in targets, no doubt about it, especially red zone targets.
I agree.
So yeah,
one of our future shows. Sorry, go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, he'll be. He's not my top tight end. He's in my top 3. Kind of in my top tier, I would say probably.
You're a hater.
Delving into it. No, I'm not a hater. Kelsey's always going to get his. Laporta's going to be right there. Him and Kincaid are going to be, I think, finish similar. So it's a toss-up between them guys.
I agree. After that, shortly after Kincaid's ADP at 52, we got James Cook at 61. We saw James Cook finish the year so strong in this offense. I tend to think that our hand was kind of forced. I think we were running a Ken Dorsey light offense. I don't think Joe Brady was able to incorporate his offense. So I think we saw a lot more Kincaid. Now, I think we saw what his ceiling could be. I don't think that's the game plan, though. I think if you can get James Cook in the 6th round, I think that's amazing. RB 14, yeah, I can see that. I mean, I don't hate RB 14 for James Cook. He needs to catch the ball. Several huge drops last year for us, but like you said, we're spreading that ball around. Our offense is it's going to be hard to pick out who is going to be the stars outside of Kincaid. That's my opinion. How are you feeling on James Cook?
Defenses are going to have a hard time because they're not going to be able to focus on one player. They're going to have to just play well-rounded defense to be able to control it. And then Allen's just going to do his thing. Right. But yeah, with Cook, he's going to get targeted out of the backfield. He's getting the bulk of the carries. You know, he's gonna probably finish higher than his ADP, I believe, just off volume of rushing and receiving. So
I agree with that. You always have to worry about Josh Allen vulturing those touchdowns in the red zone.
Yeah, he'll snatch some of them. Yep, he'll take some of them away. But I think James Cook still has a little bit of breakaway speed to break some long ones.
I agree. After that, about 20 spots after that, we got our rookie, Keon Coleman. ADP right now around 81, ranked around wide receiver 47. I love what I'm seeing out of this kid. I know we're going to be spreading the ball around, and we will be touching on player future markets eventually, but this is just fantasy, right? I don't know that he's going to have the biggest fantasy impact out of our main three receivers here. He's going to be a big red zone target, right? I think we know that. I just don't know if he's going to be better than Samuel. Shakir's got the rapport with Josh Allen. How you feeling about Coleman?
Well, you know, when you go look at the experts' fantasy rankings from different websites and you see Keon Coleman at 47, Samuel at 50, Shakir at 54, exactly. They don't even know. Even know. They've got them all lumped together. So I won't even bring up the negative name that Keon Coleman reminded me of coming out of college, because that
go ahead. Let's hear it.
It reminded me coming out of Florida State, Kelvin Benjamin. I'm telling you,
no.
I told you didn't want to hear it. He's faster. He's more explosive than Benjamin. Benjamin was slow, stiff, the whole deal. I do think he'll have games where he has, 3 catches, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. He'll have games where he has 2 catches and 30 yards. He'll be boom or bust, I think. He'll have his good games. He'll have his bad. But he's a big red zone target. So he's probably not a PPR guy. He's more probably a standard scoring guy. A little more upside on that kind of format. So I'm not down on him. But to be honest with you, I've been in most of the mock drafts I've been doing. I haven't been picking him up. I've been picking up Samuel, but I noticed the other day there's a couple drafts I did. Samuel was actually going ahead of Keon Coleman. So
all the rankings are shifting.
Yeah. In these times when they get 2 or 3 receivers that are close, I typically like to take the latter, like the later of them. Yeah. There's a little more value. Because any of these 3 guys could end up being his number 1 wide receiver.
I agree. So that takes us to our next guy here, Curtis Samuel. ADP 91, wide receiver 50. I mean, we touched on these guys are going, 10 picks apart.
Yep.
I like Samuel more than Coleman. I think he's going to get some play out of the backfield. He's been coached by Joe Brady before, he's been coached by Joe Brady before. I just like him better. Now, his biggest issue is staying on the field, right? That's where Coleman might have an advantage. Curtis Samuel, I don't think has played a full season, right? But he's been fantasy relevant in the games that he has. And even on Washington last year, he was scoring touchdowns.
Right? As bad as they were and inconsistent as they were at QB, like he still was relevant when he was on the field. Yep.
I picked him up on a few of my teams during the season that were not doing so well, right? I mean, how are you feeling about Samuel? What's your take on it?
Yeah, like I said, I had been on Samuel because he was a little bit later than Coleman. Now it's kind of flipped. So, his ADP is going up. So it's like I don't like that because he initially would have been on my sleepers, my sleeper section. But he's got the ties with Brady. That 1 year in Carolina was their number 1 receiver that year. If he can stay healthy, I think he could be their number 1 receiver playing a full season.
I agree. Third one, as far as ADP goes, Khalil Shakir. This guy turned it up the second half of the year where Diggs seemed to struggle. Shakir picked up the slack. He's going ADP right now, 106. He's going off at wide receiver 54. I'm snagging Shakir wherever I can. I think, just like Kincaid, I think that his rapport with Josh Allen is going to make a big difference. Josh likes to throw to people that he could trust, right? And when he couldn't trust Diggs anymore last year, he threw it to Shakir. And then when he tried to trust Diggs again in the Kansas City game, he dropped it, right? So, had to ship his ass out of here, but it is what it is. How are you feeling about Khalil Shakir?
Well, this group, he's the only guy coming back. He's the number one guy returning from last year, other than Kincaid, as far as catching balls. So he'll have that rapport, I would assume, with Josh, at least early. And maybe, Samuel or Coleman kind of pick that up as the season goes on a little bit longer. You might see if Shakir comes out and has a couple nice early games, he might be a sell high on the trade.
That's a great position to be in right there.
Yeah.
So there's a couple other guys here. Ray Davis. I mean, if you're drafting Cook, pick up Ray Davis. I drafted a dynasty league in February this year with these lunatics. I picked up Ty Johnson at the time. I tried to grab Ray Davis in a rookie draft, couldn't get him. In a redraft, if I'm picking up Cook, I'm grabbing Ray Davis because I think that he's the one that's going to get the run. Ty Johnson, I thought Ty Johnson ran the ball well for us last year when he was called upon. I just like the upside of Ray Davis a little bit more of a bowling ball. I think if Cook goes down, I think Ray Davis could be valuable. Dawson Knox, I picked him up in the dynasty league, right? People don't care about your fantasy team. I know. I picked up Knox. I think if you're picking up Kincaid,
that's what we're talking.
Yeah, man. If you're picking up Kincaid, why not pick up Knox? Depending on how many bench spots you have. I mean, I see that we added Chase Claypool to this.
That was.
I love that.
I don't.
I love that. Your note is not interested.
I'm not interested. He might not even make the roster. That's my 2 notes on him.
Yep.
I know
there's been a lot of run on
Bills.
Mac Hollins, Kev. What can you tell us about Mac Hollins?
Hey, I will. Former Raider. He likes going. He's a barefoot stomping, no shoes, no utensil wear.
That's right.
He's definitely an odd one. He's a character, but hey, he's a good receiver. He is, in my opinion, he is hands down better than Chase Claypool. Like, wouldn't even think twice about it. Chase Claypool has been on, a couple different teams. It hasn't worked out. Maybe not the greatest quarterback situations in some of these teams, but he's way too inconsistent, bounced around. I mean, Miami was trying to use him at tight end last year. I'm not interested in Claypool at all. So
No. Hey, pause the fantasy talk for a second. Do you think that Mac Hollins could be a replacement for Gabe Davis? An upgrade even?
I think Keon Coleman is probably that 1-to-1 replacement, just with the size, the deep threat. But day one, I would bet Matt Collins would be ready to go before Keon Coleman. He's been in the league. He's been on some good teams. He's put up decent numbers in spots where he's actually hasn't been hurt and been on the field. So I definitely I think Matt Collins, same thing with him early. Maybe he's a guy who gets some run early in the season. He knows the deal. He knows the routine. He's been in the league. I liked Matt Collins when he was with the Raiders. I've liked him in his previous stops. He's obviously not a 1. He's not a 2. He's your third receiver. So.
Hey, real quick before we dive back into fantasy, I want to make sure everyone checks out the Dude Champions merch, the Sons of Erie merch. Go check this stuff out, guys. Ton of good stuff. The artwork that Sons of Erie puts out is incredible, especially if you're a Bills fan. Go check it out, sonsoferie.com. Kev, start breaking down some fantasy formats for us. What kind of leagues are out there? What can the people get into? What are we talking about for someone that maybe hasn't played fantasy football before?
Yeah, if you're just getting into it, like I said, I've been doing it for 21 years, so I've been doing it a while. Back then, it was all redraft. It was no PPR. It was, it was. Hey, I remember my father-in-law and my brother-in-law at the Eagles having to call in their roster. Check the guy would check the paper and do the stats off the paper. No
That's
joke.
something.
Yeah, that's old.
Something.
That's old school there.
So maybe we don't have to
but
get down to the granular level of it, but just tell us about the basic fantasy formats out there.
So yeah, you've got Dynasty, which is carried over year. So if you've got a good group of guys who you know are going to stay in it, that's a fun one. If you got a good close group of friends, your roster carries over. So you're in it for the long haul, basically. Auction drafts, it's basically like it sounds. You kind of auction. You're bidding on players. I've never been an auction guy. I know certain areas of the country they're popular. Not my thing. DFS. I like DFS.
DFS. Let's go.
Daily fantasy. Yep. I think is for people who like the draft, like the process of actually drafting. Me, I used to follow the NFL draft and do all that. So I like the actual process of doing the draft. So if you like that, DFS is good because you can do them drafts 100 a day if you want, like whatever you like to do. So if you like to draft, DFS. Superflex, now there is just so many. You got 2 quarterback leagues, quarterback flex. You can basically create that however you want. Whatever your league wants to do, you can kind of fit into some kind of super flex. Best ball, that's one that's gaining popularity now. I haven't done any best ball leagues. It's you basically draft your team and it's set. You're not moving guys to the bench. You're not having to maneuver your lineup on a day-to-day, week-to-week. You set it, you kind of forget it. So
it's the best scoring players from your lineup for each position, correct? So it automatically plugs them in. Is that correct?
Yep. And same thing with that. Yeah, we do need to do a best ball draft. Maybe get one going with the Duchamp guys. And like I said, my kind of go-to is just redraft. Where you're just redrafting every year. That's what I've always kind of been in. So that's kind of my what I've been doing for years.
Hit on some strategies
now.
Yeah. So I think you and I have been in 3 leagues. I think currently we're in 2 leagues together. So me and Kev have some differing opinions on things. I definitely like to redraft myself. This is the first year that I've done a dynasty. Like I said, these guys drafted in February. Didn't like that. I would prefer to draft the rookies first, honestly. But I understand you do what you got to do. It just so much has happened since February, right? Lucky I like my team, but I got stuck. I'm going to tell you an instance why I hate it right now. I picked up Keenan Allen, right? And then when it was my turn to draft from the rookie draft, Roma Dunze was sitting there, and how do you not take Roma Dunze?
Yeah.
Right? The players that were after him, I was not interested in. So now I'm stuck with Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze, and Caleb Williams throwing the ball. We have no idea what's going to happen, right? So reasons that I don't like drafting early, right there. So as far as strategy comes into play, Kev, we like to redraft. I think strategy has changed a lot. It always used to be so running back heavy, running back early, stack your running backs.
Yep.
Now, I prefer to play PPR versus half-point PPR. I don't play in any standard leagues. I usually play half PPR and PPR. That being said, wide receiver, the league has changed, so fantasy landscape has changed. What's your strategy going into this season as compared maybe to years prior?
Yeah, I am. I'm probably still a little bit maybe out of the norm. I still do because there's not as many great running backs. There's three in the top of everybody's list, and then there's they're kind of lumped together after that. Yeah. So I still it's ingrained in me. I used to play in these old leagues, and it was back in the day. It was all running backs. Running backs early, running back often. You know what I mean? That was your robust running back strategy, basically. I kind of am that with a little new flavor to it. I like getting 2 running backs in the first 4 rounds. However, it ends up shaking, depending on where I'm drafting at.
So no matter where you're drafting, that's kind of what you're doing?
Yeah, like if I'm picking at the end of, let's say, the first round, and you got guys like Saquon, Gibbs,
How do you
Jonathan
not take both
Taylor.
of them?
I'm going to take both of them. I'm going to
Right?
take both of them, and I'm going to take 2 wide receivers after that, and I'm going to wait for my QB, wait for my tight end.
Yeah.
If I'm early, you take Saquon, or I'm sorry, CMC, or one of the top 3 guys, Brees Hall, Bijan. On the way back, I might take one on the turn, in the second round. If not, I might take wide out. But then in the third, I'm taking a running back. So I still am a little old school in that theory.
I really think it depends where you're drafting, how many teams, right?
You got to know your league. You got to know your league.
You have to know your league, and you can't just your strategy has to be fluid. If you stick to that strategy and the board you 2 awesome wide receiver ones fall to you, you kind of have to take them, in my opinion. Your strategy has to be fluid. If you just stick to it and just have your blinders on, I mean, you could really find yourself in a hole where the people around you are picking best available. So I think it's important to, have a strategy, do your mock drafts, right? Mock draft to the tune of what your league is set up to. Don't just mock draft blindly, right? Set all the parameters, do all that. I think that's all super important. That being said, you ready to get into some rankings here?
Yeah. Let's see. Let's go ahead and let's hit our quarterback rankings.
Let's do it. All right. So Kevin and I, what do we do? Top 15 on here?
Yeah, joint top 15 QBs.
So we hit on this earlier. Josh Allen, number 1, right? I don't think there's any shocker there. I don't think you're going to get – looking at this, Kev, wow. So we don't have a difference until number 6.
Yeah, and that's about the norm. Some people have Anthony Richardson ahead of Kyle Murray.
I think
I was on Anthony Richardson last year, and it was good for a game and a half, and then
exactly.
Then it wasn't. So, that was the worry with him, injury, not throw. He didn't throw the ball particularly well at Florida, but fantasy wise, he's got value.
Yep, I think so. We both have Kyler Murray number 5. I think we're higher
than most
people. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the names behind him, I just, when Kyler Murray came back, I know he doesn't have Hopkins. He's got McBride. He's got Marvin Harrison Jr. James Conner's still in the backfield. They picked up did they pick up Trey Benson as his backup?
Yeah, Benson's the backup.
Connor, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I like the weapons. And let's talk about what makes a quarterback one of the best quarterbacks in fantasy. They have to be able to run the football. Kyler can do that, right? Kyler's going to run in some touchdowns. He's going to scramble around. That's going to be his thing. We start to differ drastically after Kyler Murray. 6, you got Burrow. I got Richardson. 7, you got Dak. I took Burrow there. You got Richardson number 8. I got Jordan Love, man. Jordan Love.
Yeah. Yeah, you got Jordan Love at 8. I've got him at 12.
Tell me why.
So I like Jordan Love, even though I've got him at 12 here. I see him and Goff as similar. I think they both are in good offenses. They both got good receivers. Goff's done it. Neither one of them have rushing upside. So if you don't have rushing upside as a QB, you've got to be throwing for 35 plus touchdowns, and you've got to throw for 4,000 plus yards, or you're not fantasy relevant. That's kind of and them guys can hit them numbers, I think. So,
what about Jordan Love's legs? You don't see any appeal there with Jordan Love being mobile?
He's not a runner like an Anthony Richardson, in my opinion.
He's a runner. He's a track star.
He definitely can get you some of that. More than Goff, obviously, but what else do we have here? So I'm down on Stroud.
Hang on. I'm not done with Jordan Love. You're not even talking about his weapons. I'm pretty sure he threw for 32 passing touchdowns last year. I think he ran in 5 touchdowns. So if that's the case,
Yeah.
how do you have Jordan Love as QB 12? You have Goff in front of him. You have Prescott in front of him. I don't know, man. Who's Prescott throwing the ball to?
Well, that's all Prescott's going to do, though. It doesn't matter. He's going to throw it, so he's going to get his numbers.
That's the point, though. He's not throwing for whatever 400 or 500 yards again or whatever it was last year. That's not happening.
Oh, hey, you forgot. They got Zeke back. They ain't running the football. They will not run the football. So he might throw it 50 times a game.
So you're telling me we need to pick up Brandon Cooks and Jake Ferguson?
Hey, we'll get to Jake Ferguson. Yeah, I'm high on Jake Ferguson this year.
I think there's something to note here, Kev, that a lot of people are talking about. CJ Stroud, you got him 9. I got him 11.
And we're both.
I just don't see it, man. I don't see it. Even with the addition of Diggs, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I'm low on him at 9. I mean, a lot of people have him at 5.
Yeah, I don't see it.
He has no rushing upside. He was not even a top 10 quarterback last year. He had games, he had spurts where he was good, but he'll be good. He'll put up decent numbers, but he has no rushing upside at all.
They picked up Joe Mixon, man. You're telling me they're not going to run Joe Mixon into the ground a little bit to try and set up that play action?
I think he'll just naturally have a little bit of a regression this year.
Yes, I think he has to. No one expected to happen last year.
Yeah,
happen,
right? They got a year of tape on him, and I don't think he'll be as good as last year. So
I agree. Hey, one of the last ones I want to touch on. There's 2 more things here. I don't have Justin Herbert in my top 15. You got him at 14. Tell me why.
I'm just, as much as I hate the Chargers, being a Raiders fan, I got him sneaking on my list.
You realize his top 3 targets are gone.
He's just, man,
top
the guy is talented. Yeah, the guy is talented. I think they'll run the ball, but I think they'll establish some play action, and I think he'll be more relevant than he was last year.
Fair
not
enough.
Super high on him, but I got him at 14, so he's not even a starter on a 12-man team. So I'm not super high on him, but he did make my list.
Last one that I want to touch on here before we move on. Brock Purdy. I got Brock Purdy at number 9. You got him at 15. I think you got him way too low. I'm going to tell you why. So one of my favorite bets in the Super Bowl last year that almost hit every leg was the Brock Purdy rushing ladder. Okay. I had it all the way up to, I think, 54.5. He had 57, I believe. So it was like 5 different bets. We call it the ladder bet, right? You hit him at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And every time it gets higher, the odds go up. And every time that he was mobile with that ball, I was sitting there yelling at the TV. And all of a sudden, they go into victory formation, and I lose the biggest leg of it. We hit all 4 of the other legs, though. It was great.
Yeah.
I think he's going to run the ball a little bit more than everyone thinks. I think he's going to run a few touchdowns in. I love his weapons. I love that kid Pearso they drafted. I know Ayuk's at camp. Debo, CMC, obviously. Isaac the Red Bill, who they drafted.
I seen a funny clip, actually, right before we got on of him dapping up one of the coaches going onto the field today. And it was
Purdy?
The title was it looked like one of them congratulation daps, like you just got your deal done. Tomorrow you'll be back at camp. Yeah, to Ayuk.
Oh.
So we'll see tomorrow if he's on the field and signed.
Okay. Good eye, Kev. Good eye.
Yeah. With Purdy, though. Let's move on.
Think about this? Purdy. No, go ahead. Tell me why you're
Purdy, he's 15 on my list. The 49ers had the fewest pass attempts in the NFL last year. Ravens were second to last. So they don't pass the ball a lot, but he's got a ton of weapons around him. So with his little bit of rushing and his weapons around him, he'll be relevant. Just not a huge fan of him. But
sneaky strategy here. I'm taking Brock Purdy as one of the last QBs, and then I'm adding Jaden Daniels right after him, and I'm just going to be matchup dependent. that's a strategy that I've been using, something I like to do. Now, if you have some savvy drafters, Jaden Daniels could very well go above some of these guys that we have ranked.
Jaden Daniels is probably going to go higher than he should in most leagues.
Boomer bust, man. Boomer bust. Yeah. I'm not taking that risk, man. Quarterback is not something that I like to take a huge risk on. I'm not taking Anthony Richardson. I'm trying to draft someone who has a resume, right? And that's the theme.
I like kind of playing a little bit of both. Like last year, I had Anthony Richardson in 2 leagues. But I had, I'd have a guy like Goff or never made my fantasy squad. Yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving.
Maybe David.
Yeah, exactly. Let's keep it moving. Let's get into the running backs.
Okay, you got running backs up.
All right, I'm going to start because my list is a little more shocking. I got CMC RB3. I got Breece Hall going off. I got Bijan, CMC, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne. That kind of rounds out my top 6. That's kind of the 2 tiers, I would say, 2 for me right there. After that, it kind of drops off a tier. For me personally, go over your list a little bit and talk about some of the highlights, Kev.
Yeah, I've got I'm pretty chalk on this. I got CMC, Bijan, Breece is my top 3. I'm on the, you can take any of them 3. No beef from me. If I'm actually picking one, I might be hard pressed to not hit the button to draft Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, it's a ballsy pick, man.
Yeah,
not take him.
Yeah, to not take him. He, the age, he's older, which you never know.
A lot of miles on those tires.
I could take Bijan and Breece and feel completely fine with it. Now I got Gibbs at 4. You got him at like 9, so I'm definitely a little higher on him than you. He's a PPR guy. He's going to catch passes. I mean, he had 10 rushing touchdowns last year. After a slow start, he got hurt early. Door for Montgomery to get as much run as he did. I think if Jahmyr Gibbs started a little hotter and didn't have the little injury, we might not have seen as much Montgomery, but as when he got out there, Montgomery was great. So they kind of split it up after that.
Yeah, he was great, wasn't he? He was so great that they actually paid him. They paid him a little bit more money. It's going to be a timeshare. And when the game was on the line in the NFC Championship, they did not go to Gibbs. They went to Montgomery. He's tried, true, and tested. Gibbs is great. Don't get me wrong. Gibbs is a fantastic player. I just think the hype, there's too much hype. RB4, I see him going higher than that. I get the upside. I get it. I just, when you have someone like Montgomery back there, vulturing all of those carries, vulturing those touchdowns, I think they're both going to get theirs, but I think they're both going to finish outside top 10. I got to be honest, but within 15, maybe. I didn't put Montgomery in my top 15, but I mean, I could see it.
Yeah,
I could see it. What other notable rankings do we have here? Let's see. I got Rachaad White as number 7. You got him as 15. What's up with that?
Yeah, I kept looking at my rankings. I'm like, man, I think I should have Rachaad White higher than I have him. Yeah. But as I'm going down the list, obviously I've got Achane at 11, which you don't even have him in your top 15. I've got I like the younger, not younger, but just the more upside of Achane as opposed to White. White's rushing numbers are not great. He catches a lot of passes. He caught a lot of targets last year. I don't know how much upside he has. I'd rather take a shot on.
Repeat, is what you're telling me. You're not going to see a repeat of last year.
They drafted a running back behind him, so there's a reason they drafted Bucky. Yeah,
Oregon, I believe.
Bucky
Irving.
Irving.
But he's not gonna. I don't know. Rachaad White's that guy. I think he was coming up for a couple years. He got the chance last season. He ran with it. he's going to be a weapon to those guys. Outside of Godwin, outside of Evans, they're spreading the ball around to some really no-name guys. We got Cade Otton in there at tight end. Like, they didn't make any moves. I think they're going to stay status quo in a division that might be the worst division in football. Right? So I like Rashad White there.
Yeah.
You touched on it. A chain, however you want to say it. Wild last year. Wild last year. Dude, they have Mostert still. They drafted Jalen Wright. Is he from Tennessee? I'm telling you, man, I know what they want to do with a chain. I'm gonna get that wrong the whole season probably, but he was a Band-Aid last year, and he's going to be. I just don't think his body can keep up with how fast he goes.
I did see they've got him working in the slot. McDaniel's going to get creative. They're always going to be a stable of running backs. They're always going to be a committee, 2 or even 3 guys sometimes. So it might be a little bit of a gamble because he's not going to be a workhorse back. So I think his upside, though, I do like just the upside factor of it.
I get you there. He's going too high for my blood. I don't know what ADP on him is right now, but it is high. I'm not taking him second round. I'm not taking him third round. And he's going to be gone by the time I even think about taking him.
Depending on third round where I was picking, if I was middle to late third round, I'd take him.
He's your RB2 probably at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to. You're not taking him as your RB1, right?
No, like say, if I was picking, 3, 4, 5, and I took maybe, say I took Breece Hall or Bijan in the first and could get Achane in the third, man, that's an explosive upside backfield. I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah, and you better have a good RB3 when Achane is not playing.
I will.
Another one on here that I want to touch on, Kev, and then we'll move it. You don't have Kamara on your list. True, man. He catches the ball out of the backfield. He gets the targets. I know they have who's his backup waiting in the wings?
Keandre Miller.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he was kind of the fantasy sleeper last year, so he might be someone to touch on this year. But I don't know, man.
And he's already
last
hurt.
Year.
Is he hurt?
Is that right?
Keandre Miller's hurt.
Keandre, yeah.
Yeah. And Kamara is in a little bit of a standoff right now with the Saints.
Oh, is that
contract wise? Yeah.
I mean, do you really expect that to play out though after him missing time last year, that suspension? I mean, he's gonna want to be on the field, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
let's go.
Ready to move on.
Wide receivers.
All right. What we got here?
You go first.
All right. My top, I've got CD, kind of chalk again. CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase. My top 3. You got Hill, Chase, and CeeDee Lamb, kind of reverse there a little bit.
I got to be honest with you. Go ahead. I'll shoot off my take after you.
Yeah. Again, them 3 guys. CeeDee Lamb, most targeted in the NFL last year. Dak's going to throw it to him. He's going to throw it to him often. So his floor is crazy high, I think, in PPR leagues. He's going to get 10 plus targets every single game. So go ahead. What do you got
this year, man? I see teams going to start to maybe try and bracket him a little bit like they did to Diggs. They don't have a ton of options outside of him. We'll get to Ferguson. I know how we both feel about him. We'll get to him. Outside of Lamb, though, teams are going to focus on him more than they did last year. I mean, who are the Cowboys running backs? It's Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn. Like, get out of here with all that. They're going to do something about it. I think he's going to have some regression. Tyreek Hill, dude, the dude's a monster. Jamar Chase, he's going to come back with a vengeance. Yeah. I could even see I could put Amon-Ra in front of CeeDee Lamb and be completely happy with that. I could, man. He's a monster. Amon-Ra's my guy.
No, I love Amon-Ra. I had him some last year on some teams. He's as tough as they come with a wide receiver.
So consistent. And CeeDee Lamb struggled in the beginning of the year because Dak struggled in the beginning of the year.
Well, I think what happened with that is they were trying to run the ball early and they realized they couldn't, so they just started chucking it.
Well, it's the same offensive coordinator. I don't see anything changing. Well, I'm sorry. Same head coach. Same head coach.
Same head coach.
Coordinator.
Yeah.
Okay, so after that, we're the same here. Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson. I got Puka. You went with Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't see anything wrong there. Nico Collins. I don't have Nico Collins in my top 16, let alone 15. Go ahead. Go on.
So I still think Nico Collins is the number one. I don't care that Stephon Diggs is there. I mean, Nico was the number 7 in points per game last year at wideout. That is like, and if you can get him where you're getting him, it's just good value. I still think he's the alpha there. I think he's their number one. So I am definitely higher maybe than most on him. Definitely higher than you. But yeah, I'm a Nico fan.
I mean, look at all these other wide receiver ones. I'm not taking. And listen, Texans could have run the ball last year, right? They bring in Joe Mixon.
Yep.
I'm just seeing regression in the passing offense in the Texans. Not the Texans as a whole. I think they're going to be just fine. I think their defense is stout. The
Texans will be a better real NFL team than a fantasy value team, I think.
Exactly. I'm not taking him over Puka, Devontae, Olave, Drake London, DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman, Jalen Waddle. I'm not taking Nico in front of them. I get it. And even you can talk about Waddle being wide receiver 2 there. I just think, we both got Waddle at 15. I mean, I think it's going to be Waddle's season, man. I do not like the Dolphins. I do not like playing against this team twice a year. But I'm telling you, man, I feel it this year. So if I feel it like that, probably stay away from him. Season-ending injury incoming, probably.
Yeah. Week 2.
You got Cooper Kupp at 11. That's bold.
Yeah,
that is bold, in my opinion.
I have Cooper Kupp ranked ahead of Puka. I know that's a super hot take.
Yeah.
I just even with his injuries last year, he was targeted more in the red zone than Cooper Kupp, and he had more receptions in the red zone than Puka last year, and he only played half a season. I still think when it comes down to it, Stafford is going to get Kupp the ball if he's healthy. He will be the number one if he's healthy. And I just until he's not on the field with injury or whatever, I just still think he's the number one guy there. So I'm banking on that.
I agree with you. Funny story. No one cares about your fantasy team. I was drafting 12 out of 12, and I went with Kupp, and I caught Kelsey at the turn. I thought I was being slick. Was not the move. Both those guys were out for the first 4 or 5 games of the season. I then followed it up with
some first picks up.
J.K. Dobbins. I was in the basement of that league the whole year. So guys,
you're not digging out of them.
You can't predict injuries. Some things are just unfortunate, but you gotta take value where value's at. I got Drake London on my list, Kev. Whether it's Cousins or Penix, Drake London deserves to be. He deserves the targets. He's going to be targeted. People are going to see the talent that Drake London actually has. I think this year you got Bijan. They got a new OC. They're going to open up the passing game a little bit more. We're going to touch on tight ends here in a minute, and I'm super high on Pitts as well. I just think it's Drake London season, man. He's going to be – I got him at 12. I wouldn't be surprised if he was 10. A lot of these guys are interchangeable by a couple spots, in my opinion. These are our preseason rankings. And, how do you feel about London? Anything to add there?
He did not make my top 15, but, to me, there's about 5 or 6 guys that are out of the top 15 that are in the same tier.
Sure.
So it's all, DK, Pittman, Waddle, Puka, Drake, they're all in the same tier. So just kind of whatever flavor you like. Drake's going to get Kirk Cousins, for you could say whatever you want about him, he makes wide receivers fantasy relevant.
Oh yeah,
he makes tight ends
absolutely.
fantasy relevant. TJ Hawkinson playing with Kirk Cousins was a number one tight end for when he's healthy. So
Yep.
Kirk Cousins will get them guys the ball. So
You're making my point for me. Thank you.
There you go. Like I said,
I just couldn't squeeze him in my top
team. Yeah, I just couldn't squeeze him in that group. So
I get it. I get it. Let's keep it moving. Let's get in
tight ends.
Tight ends. I think this year tight ends has the most fruitful that it has been in many, many years. This used to be a position that everyone was overdrafting.
2 guys, and that's it. Yep.
I mean, look at our top 10. Dude, these guys are good. I mean, let's see. We start Travis Kelce. How do you not? Right? How do you not?
You have to.
You got Laporta in there. I got Kincaid.
No Buffalo Bills bias there.
Oh, Laporta's going to have some touchdown regression, dude. There's no way that he gets 10 TDs again. I don't know, Jim. Yeah, I mean, so Laporta. You're taking Laporta after Kelce no matter what.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, I'm probably not taking a top 3 tight end unless something funky happens with my where I'm picking at or how the draft falls.
Yeah,
I'm kind of probably going to fall in that range out of the top 3 guys, unless something weird happens. I haven't gotten any of them 3 in many of the mock drafts I've been doing. So,
well,
that's kind of
me and my friends are all from Buffalo. I will not be getting Kincaid the price that he's going to go in. Cheers
too high.
To whoever goes and grabs him early. I love it. I got him ranked 2. I could see him finishing 1. I think he's going to have a monster year. After that, I got Trey McBride. Him and Kyler Murray tore it up last year. I don't think anything's going to change. I know they added Marvin Harrison Jr., but that you could just argue is going to make Trey McBride more wide open. So you slide Evan Ingram into number 4. I got him at number 9.
That's probably our biggest disparity.
Please explain
Evan
this
Ingram,
crazy logic.
Evan Ingram was number 1 in targets and receptions. Only CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, and St. Brown had more catches than him last year. Now his TDs were not where they should be. I would hope just a little uptick in that, and he's right in that range.
So
he was. Go ahead.
Counterpoint. They bring in Gabe Davis and they pay him. They pay Gabe Davis. They draft Brian Thomas Jr. Right, and they still got Christian Kirk. You're not worried at all about any of that.
I mean, last year they had Ridley, they had Kirk, they had them guy, and he still got the targets. So I'm not, because Gabe Davis is not going to eat up a bunch of targets.
Gabe.
I think Brian Thomas is going to eat up more targets than Gabe Davis is, to be completely honest with you.
I agree on that.
So I still think Trevor's going to hit the tight end, and he's going to hit him a lot. So PPR, I just think his floor, I feel like, is just a lot higher than some of these guys.
I agree 100%. Kev, keep going with the tight end rankings real quick.
Okay. I've got Kittle at 5. I got McBride at 6. Andrews at 7, just strictly off the injury risk. When Andrews is on the field, he's a top 3 tight end. But he just hasn't stayed on the field. So our biggest disparity, you've got Pitts at 5. I've got him at 9. I am so tired of hearing about Kyle Pitts. The guy is an athlete. He's a straight line runner. I don't really think he's a football player. He's athletic as they come. He's got uber athletic ability, but maybe the quarterback situation there will.
That's wild. That's blasphemy.
No, he's an athlete. He's a track star. He's not a football player. Kirk Cousins, now all joking aside, Kirk Cousins will make him more relevant than he has been. I know that. I'm tired of hearing about the potential with him.
This is it, dude. This is it. We're due.
Yeah.
This is Kyle Pitts season, dude. I think Kyle Pitts could be that guy this year. I really do.
So we talked a little bit about Ferguson earlier when we were talking some CD and some Dak.
Yep.
Hey, Jake Ferguson, number 1 in red zone targets amongst tight ends last year.
I love Ferguson.
I love him. I know I only have him at 8 here, but I think I got a prediction on him. I'll hold off too much on him, but I definitely am on the Jake Ferguson bandwagon this year.
Yeah. I'm drafting Ferguson probably above his ADP. I don't want someone to grab him before me. If I'm holding off on tight end, Ferguson's the guy I'm targeting. Ingram is another guy that I feel like you can grab a little bit later. I've also drafted up, and I'm taking Kincaid or Pitts in 5th round Kincaid, 6th round Kincaid. I'll grab Pitts in the 7th round, depending on my roster build. He's a target monster. He's a beast, dude. You think Cousins isn't going to make him good? I mean, come on. This is it. New OC, Kyle Pitts season. It's here.
We'll see. We will see.
Let's get into our sleepers, Kev.
Okay, let's jump here. All right. Let's hop in. All right, sleepers we got up here. You want to go ahead?
Yeah. I like Joshua Palmer this year. LA Chargers. They drafted Ladd McConkey. Joshua Palmer is really one of the only guys that's still there. I know you have Johnson. He did not have a good rookie season. Of course, Harbaugh is talking him up a little bit. I just think he's going to get the targets, man. I like him a lot. I'm gonna go down the list here a little bit. I got Ricky Pearsall.
Rip through your list.
Ricky Pearsall. I know he got banged up a little bit. Best hands in the draft. Kamani Vidal. Los Angeles Chargers are going to run the ball. Dobbins gets hurt. Edwards gets nicked up. Vidal's going to get some run. He's someone that I'm grabbing late, especially if you're grabbing Edwards or you're grabbing Dobbins. Pick up Vidal. Gesicki. I picked him up in my Dynasty League just recently. It's tight end premium. Burrow's going to find Gesicki. That's Gesicki's specialty. He catches the ball, right? Last one I got here is Burton. Cincinnati, he's going to be in the Tyler Boyd role. He could be an upgrade. He's quicker, played at Alabama. I'm drafting all those guys later in drafts. Those are guys that I'm trying to target. Vidal being maybe the outlier there. He might be the last pick of the draft for me if he's there. But if I am grabbing Edwards or Dobbins, I am scooping up Vidal a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So run down your sleepers, Kev. What do you got?
Okay. Ben Sinnott. Tight end at Washington. And this
is not be drafting him.
Whenever Zach Ertz 100% gets injured, this guy will have value. I have Chase Brown, running back Cincinnati. Yep. I just think he's got a little more juice than Moss has got. Moss will have a role. I just think Chase Brown's got a little bit more upside. But
I love that.
Yeah. I've got Brian Thomas, the Jags, wide receiver. I talked a little bit earlier. I just think he'll be the deep threat over Gabe Davis. Trevor likes to throw the ball down the field. I think he'll be his deep threat guy.
So where are you drafting Brian Thomas, Kev?
I'm trying to think of what his ADP is off the top of my head. He would be a late last maybe 4 or 5 5th round guy, last 5 rounds of your draft.
Are you taking him there?
What?
You're taking him in the 5th round?
No, last 5 rounds of the draft.
You think he's going to be there last 5 rounds of the draft?
Probably. I mean, they've still got wide receivers that have been with Trevor up to this point. He's new, obviously being a rookie into the offense. He's one of these upside rookie wide receivers. If you hit on rookie wide receivers, they win drafts. They win you leagues.
Yep.
So I don't mind taking a flyer on a guy like him or my next guy, Jalen Polk. I know they have nobody to throw him the ball, but somebody's going to catch the ball. So, again, I like rookie wideouts, second-year wideouts with upside in my later rounds. And then finishing off with Ladd McConkey. You know, as much as they're going to run the ball there in San Diego, in LA, that's my AFC West. Coming out.
What's the over under? What's the over under on San Diego's instead of LA's this year? I'm going to set Kevin's line at 5.5.
No, over. Hammer the over.
Smash it.
I might have done it 5 times on this show already. They don't. You know, any of them 3 wide receivers in for the Chargers. Who knows? So I'll take my risk with that guy. So that's kind of where I'm at with him.
I'm good with that. I like Ladd McConkey. Him and Palmer, they're going to be catching the ball. Herbert, you know, he's going to have to throw it to somebody. You know, he's still Justin Herbert. We talked about him earlier, but let's finish up here, Kev, with our bold predictions.
All right.
Should be a little spicy.
That's what they are. They're bold,
go 1,
man.
1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. Go ahead, lead us off.
Okay. All right. These are not in any particular order, but I've got Jake Ferguson finishing in top 5 tight end. I just think he's going to be second on targets behind CD in that offense. He's a red zone threat. I think that's definitely a possibility there.
Yep, I agree. You got my stamp of endorsement here. My first one here, CMC third RB or worse. You could even go 4th or 5th if you want to get crazy here. I just don't think he's going to be at the top. I like the youth. I like the youth, and you're going to see some of my other bold predictions here that come up. I like some other guys in some other situations first. Go ahead. Who's number 2?
All right. Second, I've got Kyler Murray to finish QB1. And this is a bold take specifically for me because I historically have not been a Kyler Murray fan. Hey, as long as Call of Duty don't come out in the middle of the season, he'll be QB1.
So hang on. Arizona plays Buffalo week 1 in Buffalo. Who you got?
You mean QB wise? Or the game? Oh, Buffalo. Hey, that might be a high. I hit the over. Yep, I was going to say smash the over on that. They're both going to be chucking it. Marvin Harrison, Keon Coleman, Kincaid. Yep, give me the over.
Love it. Number 2, CJ Stroud is going to finish outside the top 10 in QBs in fantasy. Once again, you can move him back a little bit further if you wanted to. I think they're going to be more balanced offense. He's going to have some regression. They got Joe Mixon. I think there's 10 other options that'll have a better fantasy impact than CJ Stroud this year.
Yep,
Number 3.
I agree with that. I've got Cooper Kupp finishing better than Puka. I talked about a little bit earlier. If he's healthy, I still think he's Stafford's guy. That's pretty simple in my mind.
Strong disagreement. Puka built up a rapport with Stafford. I know you have the stats to back up when Coop came back. Oh, Jesus, what is happening? When Kupp came back, I know they have that. I just think Puka's got the youth on his side. He's the better athlete. I just don't see that happening. So strong disagree.
What you got?
Jordan Love finishes as a top 5 quarterback. I think he's only going to continue to get better. He could throw for over 40 touchdowns this year. I know they got Josh Jacobs. I know that might be spicy. Let's hit it back to 35 with Josh Jacobs in there. But regardless, I think he could run the ball. I think he's going to run in some touchdowns. I like his mobility. I love his wide receivers. I like the Green Bay offense. Jordan Love, top 5 quarterback.
All right. Number 4 on mine, I've got Chris Godwin finishes better than Mike Evans on the season. I think Godwin was banged up last year, most of the year. You didn't see the true Godwin. He'll be back in the slot. So, yeah, I like Godwin. Mike Evans has been great career, more productive for the long haul than I thought he would be. But this season, I think Godwin finishes higher.
I could see that. They both got some mileage on them on the tires, don't they?
Yeah.
All right, I got Saquon Barkley finishing RB1. I know a lot of people are like, wow, Saquon Barkley's good. He's going to Philadelphia. That's not bold. Well, let's take in is he going to be on the field, his injury history. I love taking Saquon Barkley. I think his floor is great. I think his ceiling is even better. I think he's going to get the targets. And let's talk about something here. The Giants' offensive line has been in shambles for like a decade, right? So now he's going behind the Eagles, and I understand, the Eagles' offensive line has shifted a little bit. Kelsey retired. Is Lane Johnson still there? Is Lane Johnson still there?
I think so.
Right? So I know it's a better
Yeah.
situation, man. I like Saquon Barkley. I'm going to say, let's throw it out there. RB1, Saquon Barkley. Spicy.
Yeah, he's in a better offense. I've got Jaden Daniels finishes top 5. Rushing quarterback. Hey, you don't have to be have a great NFL season to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback.
How many points does interception deduct?
Hey, it don't matter. Hey, what was that? Jameis 30 for 30, 30 TDs, 30.
Jameis, let's go. I love it.
The rushing upside. Yep, I'll take it.
Okay, I can't see that one. I'm gonna disagree.
You got Achane outside top 25.
Yep, I just think there's too many mouths to feed in that whole offense. Mostert's still there. I think they gave Mostert some more money. They drafted Jalen Wright. I think he's got the upside. I see it. My bold prediction, though, he's outside top 25. Going to be kind of the same as last year. And I think they're going to throw the ball. I know Tua threw it so much last year, but I just don't see it again, man. So, All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our show, guys. No one to blame. Brought to you by Kayak Pools. Kayak is a hassle-free pool experience that empowers customers to turn their own backyard into a fun and relaxing family destination. I see anything that you want people to know before we get into our mock draft next week?
No, man. It's football, man. Football's coming.
Football's back, baby. Let's go.
Yep. Let's go.
Stay tuned. Follow us on Twitter. _Neffy at Kevin3E2. I'll be putting out plays. I'm still grinding away on baseball right now, guys. Play of the day hit today. Come check us out. No one to blame.
Yep. Good to be seen.
We're due.
Yep.